would point to oil speculators for run-ups in oil. A Federal Reserve paper, for instance, which says 20% of the run-up between 2004 and 2008 attributable to speculators. Fidel guided Oppenheimer saying that about 30% of the recent run in oil prices due to speculation. At the same time, do you think that strong position limits would actually be the answer to this, to knocking off that premium that we're seeing in the markets?
Well, this is what we do know, Melissa. We know that it's not supply and demand, because supply today is higher than it was 3 years ago when gas was $1.90 a gallon, and demand is lower today than any time since 1997. What we also know, and most people don't appreciate this, is about 80% of the oil futures market is controlled by Wall Street speculators led by Goldman Sachs. So I think when you have that concentration of ownership in the oil futures market, there's no question to my mind, and I think to many other people's minds, that there is excessive speculation going on. What is particularly painful and absurd is, as you know, in the Dodd-Frank financial reform bill, language was placed in that bill telling the CFTC that they had to address excessive speculation, and they had to do it by January of 2011. Well, we're in March 2012. Guess what? They still haven't done it. That is absurd.
It seems interesting to me, Senator Sanders, that you specifically mentioned Goldman Sachs as potentially cornering the oil market. Are you specifically going after Goldman Sachs?
No, they are one. What we learned is that we brought forth information that in 2008, about 80% of the oil futures market was controlled by speculators. At that particular point, in 2008, Goldman Sachs was the leader in terms of the company that controlled and owned most oil. But it's not just Goldman Sachs, it's Morgan Stanley, it's other Wall Street firms.
So this is a world market, surely, for oil. Can U.S. regulators actually police it in practice with the effectiveness that you want?
Well, first of all, internationally, we know that there's more supply than there was last quarter, less demand than there was last quarter. But what we have is legislation that says that the CFTC has got to end excessive speculation. That's what they have to do. What we want to see on the oil futures market is that the people who own the bulk of oil are people who actually use it, airlines, truckers, fuel dealers, not people, speculators, whose sole function in life is to buy and sell and to make money to drive prices up. Yes, I think we can lower prices.
Senator, it's interesting. If the ability of speculators to profit is surely dwarfed by the ability of oil-producing nations to profit from a higher price of oil, are you aware of any U.S. agency who has actually looked at the way, perhaps behind the scenes, that those oil-producing nations behave, and whether potentially over decades they have found ways to manipulate the price of oil at certain times and keep it artificially high?
Look, there are a lot of culprits in this problem. I think it's certainly OPEC and the nations. You get the oil companies in America in the last 10 years, ExxonMobil leading the pack, who have made $1 trillion in profit. So what you got back in Vermont and all over this country is the average working stiff filling up his gas tank, in many cases working longer hours for low wages. You got the oil companies making a fortune. You got the oil-producing countries making a fortune, and now they're getting ripped off by Wall Street speculators. It's a bad situation.
Sanders, at the margin, though, there is I don't want to say problem, but there's the force in the market, specifically when it comes to gasoline and what consumers are paying at the pump, of exporting. We are an exporter of gasoline in this country. About 4% of total U.S. gas production is, in fact, exported because there simply is. Oil companies have to make money. The demand is not here in the United States. It's abroad, so they're exporting it. 4% of total gas production here. In your view, is that also a target in order to bring gas prices down, or is it simply the speculators, you think, driving prices higher?
Look, I think speculation, and as you've mentioned, it's not just me. You got the St. Louis Fed, you got Goldman Sachs itself acknowledging that speculation is driving up prices. There are a number of factors. All I know is that in Vermont and around the country, working people are being devastated by these very high prices. We've got to lower them. Addressing the issue of speculation is one way we do it. And it is just beyond my comprehension that we have a chairman who is essentially not obeying the law. He was told to come up with speculation limits, position limits. He hasn't done that. and what many members of the Senate and the House are now saying, you've got to obey the law, do it, end excessive speculation.
Senator Sanders, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bernie Sanders. Well, coming up next, financials taking a hit on concerns over Greece. We'll check the sector, plus Michelle Caruso-Cabrera will join us on the ground from Greece. We're counting down to the European close. That's in just about 11 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now. More Squawk on the Streets right ahead.